Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, now we are on recording.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome all, and wish you all a happy New Year. So wish you all success and happiness in this 2023. So today is my last session of this lecture series on product thinking and entrepreneurship for electrical and electronics engineers. So we are going to see about startup financing and building your investor presentation. So let's jump into today's session. Okay, so far we had 5 sessions, and we saw many things about startup hardware entrepreneurship, which is not only applicable only if you want to start up your own company, but is also applicable even if you go for an employment in any of the big multinational corporations. So whether you go for a hardware oriented job or whether you go for a IT oriented job, whatever we saw in the last 5 sessions are definitely going to help you. Please give me a moment. I'll just attend a phone call. Please give me a moment. Okay, so whatever we saw in the last 5 sessions, it is going to be helpful for you. So anyone wants to again see any of those sessions, please ask the YouTube link from Professor and please go through it again so that you can know more about how a company develops a product and how the company commercializes it, and what to look for if you want to go for an employment, how to look at the financials of the company to see if the company is doing better or if the company is not doing better financially. So all these will definitely help you even if you go for an employment in any of the company. So today is going to be the last session, so where we are going to see about startup financing and building your investor presentation. So once you have done everything, so for example, let's take your EDP project for example. So you have done the project. So probably you started with design thinking, kind of like to identify what sort of problem your customer is facing. So you probably start with the problem first always, and then you think about solutions. You ideate many different solutions, and then you start to prototype your ideas. And then once you have the prototype, you take the business model canvas and then start to think about how to convert this prototype into a real business, where you think about who your customers are, how you are going to approach them, what is your uniqueness, how much is going to cost you to develop this product and sell it, from which sources you can get revenue. So you are going to think about all of these things when you fill up the business model canvas. And then once you have done everything, how to then get started? You need money, right? So you need money to start up your own company. So this is how any company that you see in today's world started. So this is how the journey of any company will look like if you go back. So imagine you take Samsung, Intel, whatever company you think of, just go back before 10 years or 20 years. This is what exactly the founders of the company would have done. So right now, it is a very big multinational corporation. It is a multi-billion-dollar company, but then back before 10 years or 20 years or even maybe 30 years. This is how exactly the founders of the company would have started, and that is what we have seen in the past 5 sessions. So today's session, we are going to see about how to get investment for your startup, how to get money for your startup so that you can do your product development, you can hire manpower and like spend money for all of the operations of your company. So why does a startup need money? So why do we all, first of all, need money? Why do we even go for an employment? Like, of course, like we go for an employment to earn money, right? Why do we start up? Why do we build a startup on our own? Of course, again, there are like 2 reasons why people start up a company. One is like they want to like really bring some impact to this world, and second is obviously they want to earn money, right? So like without money in today's world, like we can't do anything, right? So similarly, your business also needs money. So like how blood flow is the lifeline of a human being, cash flow is the lifeline of any business. So you take any business, if the business does not have a proper cash flow, then the business will not survive. So that is why every business need to properly manage their cash flow. So companies which do not properly manage their cash flows basically get into troubles later, like how currently all the bigger companies are facing a lot of troubles, and they are like laying off a lot of manpower from their company. So if you take Facebook, Twitter, all these companies basically didn't like manage their cash flow properly, so they basically ended up in getting some losses, decrease in their profits, revenue. So that is why they are currently laying off many people so that they can improve their revenue and improve their profits. So startups need money for everything: running their operations, hiring more manpower, developing their products, like filing intellectual property for their products, protecting those intellectual properties, sales, marketing. So for all of these things, any business needs money. So how to raise money for your startup? So how to raise money for your startup? So obviously, many people, what they will do is they will just spend money from their own pocket. So that's how like most of the people back in the olden days, most of the people started their own business. Basically, we have some savings in our bank account. We just take those money and then we start a business and we start running it. So this is how like most of the people in the olden days started doing their business. But in today's world, there are many different ways to finance your business without spending money from your own pocket. So that is what we are going to see today. So the very first way to get investment for your startup, or the very first way to get money for your business idea or for your business, is to approach venture capitalists. So you are all engineers, right? So you are all engineers. I am an engineer. So then there is like professors, academicians, scientists, researchers, right? So similarly, venture capitalist is kind of a profession where and these people manage like $1 billion of money coming from wealthy people. So for example, imagine I have $1 billion. Imagine I have $1 billion and I want to invest this $1 billion somewhere so that I can get some very good returns than what is offered in a bank. So if you go to a bank in Malaysia and if you go and ask them what is the savings bank interest rate, what is the fixed deposit interest rate, they will have certain percentage. So for example, I don't know exactly like what is the percentage interest rate that the bank offers in Malaysia, but let's take 5% as an example. So if you put if you deposit $1 billion in the bank account, then basically the bank will give 5% of $1 billion as an interest every year, as long as you keep this $1 billion in that account. But 5% is very low, right? So if you take the percentage of inflation, so what is the percentage of inflation? So right now the world is, every country is getting affected by inflation, and mostly it is in the range of like 7% to 10%. So if you take Singapore, for example, I think it is somewhere around like 7%. If you take other countries, it is somewhere like 10%. If you take some European countries, recently because of this Ukraine, Russia war and all sort of this oil and gas, energy crisis, the inflation shooted up to like 12%, something like that. So what is the meaning of inflation? 12%, what is the meaning of this 12% inflation? So imagine you go and get a burger in McDonald's for 100 ringgits today. So imagine you go to McDonald's in Johor, you get a burger there, you get it for 100 ringgits. Next year, it will be 112 ringgits if the inflation is 12%, because inflation shoots up the price of everything, every raw material. So next year on the same day, if you go, so today is like, what is today's date? Like 5 January. So if you go to McDonald's 5 January 2024, you will get the same burger for 112 ringgits if the inflation is 12%. So whatever bank is giving you is very, very little. With that inflation, with that 5%, you can't really beat the inflation, right? So that is why venture capitalists are existing. So what they will do is, they will invest money from wealthy people into startups. And of course, like startups are risky, right? So many startups also fail. So they know that if they invest their money in 100 startups, even if 95 startups fail, the 5 startups will give a return that will compensate for the losses of all the 95 other startups. So that is how venture capitalists will evaluate whether to invest in your startup or not. So whether you have that much big growth potential. So the venture capitalist will have a portfolio. So okay, I am investing in company A, company B, company C, company D. So imagine like it is all the companies formed by you. So imagine like each, so there are like around 90 participants in this call. So imagine 90, like each one of you start a company and you approach a venture capitalist. So the venture capitalist will evaluate how good your company is, and they will know that out of the 90 companies that you go and present to him, he will know that only like 3 or 4 companies will succeed. So what he will do is, he will do a in-depth evaluation of all these 90 companies, and then he will just invest like some money in 2 company or 3 companies. And these 2-3 companies should have a growth potential that can be that big that even if the other 87 companies fail, the returns that this 3 company provides will be compensating for all the losses of the 87 companies. So hope you are able to like understand what a venture capitalist and like how they evaluate startups. So you think Elon Musk, right? So Elon Musk is one of the highly regarded entrepreneur in today's technology world. So Elon Musk, like he runs many companies like SpaceX. Recently, he got Twitter. He runs Tesla. So if you go and see the stock returns of these companies, you can see the growth potential of those companies. Of course, like few companies will also fail. So that is how the venture capitalists will make money. So in order for you to, so why do I even tell this big story? Because if you want to get funding from venture capitalists, you need to remember only one thing. You need to remember that whatever problem you are tackling, whatever problem you are trying to solve with your business, need to be so big. So that is what I wanted to convey you here. So So this now reinforces the importance of design thinking, because if you don't do design thinking, if you don't understand what problems your customers are facing, if you don't understand the size of the problem, the impact of the problem that your customer is facing, then you can't come up with a good solution that will have a big growth potential. So if you just go and like solve some small problems, then basically the venture capitalist will not be interested to invest in your company. So that is why I always tell you, you need to first of all start with a problem always. Okay, so these are some of the top venture capital firms. So probably if you want to know more about what venture capital is and like how, what is their requirements and things like that, you can go to the web pages of these venture capitalists and you can find more information about all of these venture capitalists. You can also find more information about their portfolio companies, that is the companies that they have invested in and what they are doing and what is their potential and things like that. So if you go and like do some research on these things, you will better understand the expectations of the venture capitalist before you can approach them. Just give me another moment, like I'm getting some urgent phone call. So sorry for the interruption. I had to get a courier, so sorry for the interruption.
No worries.
Okay, so
yeah,
yeah. So if you go and see the web pages of these venture capitalist firms, you can find out more information about them. So I strongly recommend you to like maybe just take a screenshot of this the names of the venture capitalist firms, and you can like just go and like look into their web pages. Okay, so venture capitalists are one way to get investment. The second way, but they are not the only way, right? So that is the aim of this session. The aim of this session is to give you more options on how to secure funding for your startups. So imagine you go to a venture capitalist, and the venture capitalist is not that interested in investing in your startup because of so many reasons. Maybe you don't have good sales, you don't have good prototype, or maybe uh, uh, many reasons. There could be many reasons. So then don't get disheartened. So there are like another type of investors which are called as angel investors. So angel investors are basically wealthy people. So venture capitalists are kind of an organization basically, even though there are like people working there, so it is kind of an organization. But angel investors are like individual peoples. So imagine if I have $1 billion, instead of me approaching a venture capitalist to manage my $1 billion, if I directly invest in your startups, directly invest in your companies, then it means I am an angel investor. So angel investors are basically sometimes they also come with some good expertise, contacts to also help your startup to grow. So if I come from electronics hardware background, I can also help you with some of the technical challenges that you face in building your hardware. Similarly, there are like many people having experience with many different things. So you need to approach an angel investor who is having some skill sets of what you are doing, because otherwise he may not be very much helpful in these things other than just giving you money. So you can also approach angel investors to see if they are interested in investing in your company, but the terms and conditions of venture capitalists and the terms and conditions of angel investors will be very different, and you need to also understand that, because angel investors are basically taking more risk in investing in your company rather than trusting a venture capital firm to invest, right? So if there is a group of highly talented people who are running a venture capital firm, I'll be confident to give $1 billion to them so that they can manage my $1 billion more intelligently, and they can do more due diligence on all the companies that they are interested on, and they will invest. But if I am doing it on my own, then it means I don't have enough resources to really study a lot about your company, and there are like a lot of other risks that I'm taking. So angel investors usually expect more returns for your from your startup. So more returns means once they invest some money, you will be giving them some percentage of your company, right? So if you give them 10% for a venture capitalist for $1 million, then the angel investor will basically demand you to give 20% for the same $1 million, because they are taking more risk in investing in your company. So the third way, so imagine, okay, so no angel investor is also interested in your startup, no venture capitalist is also interested in your startup. Then the third way is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is very simple. Basically, you just raise money from your contacts by running some campaigns. So last session, I gave you some examples of hardware entrepreneurship, right? I gave you some examples of lot of hardware startups in which I opened up the Kickstarter page and showed you many different startup ideas. So these are all the crowdfunding platforms where you can go and put up a campaign, basically put up a campaign about your product. You can take a nice video of your product. You can put up that video there. You can create a nice write-up of your product, and you just like publish a lot of good things about your product, and basically you ask people to fund you little bit of money. So probably people fund like $5, $10, $15, $20, and you give them some reward also. So imagine you are building a wireless mouse again. So if it costs you, if you want to sell this at $20, then if someone is investing $20, then you give them this mouse. If someone is only investing like $5, then probably you just give them some brochure or something like that, probably some small gift or something like that. So this is how crowdfunding usually works, and these are the platforms that you can use, and this is more relevant for students like you, because as a student who is just starting up to think about startup entrepreneurship business, it will be too much to expect you to be so ready that you can approach a venture capitalist and the angel investor. But you can still do crowdfunding, right? Because crowdfunding is more easier than venture capitalist and angel investor. And the terms and conditions of crowdfunding is like very simple than venture capitalist. If the moment you go to a venture capitalist or angel investor, you need to have a lawyer with you, because the lawyer is the one who is going to negotiate all the terms and conditions, which is again you need to spend money for all the legal fees and things like that. But crowdfunding is very simple and very straightforward, which is more relevant to students like you. So for example, so these are some of the products that are like interested for me. So I saw this product, which is a portable air conditioner. So you all know that like air conditioner, we don't have a commercially available good air conditioner, right? So basically air conditioners are always like fixed, right? You can't like you can't like move them from one place to another. It is not portable, right? It's always like fixed in the wall of the building. Either it is a centralized air conditioner or not a centralized air conditioner. It is like a big machine that is like always fixed, right? So this company basically came up with a portable air conditioner, and they uh, raised around 125,000 US dollar basically. So 358 people have contributed to this 125,000 US dollars. So this is how you can also raise money. The fourth one is government grants. So every government in today's world, every government is giving some grant. So this is basically the initiatives from India, but of course in Singapore there are many different government grants. In Malaysia also there will be many different government grants. So you can also approach these government grants to get some small funding for you to start up your idea. These government grants are does not have like lot of like terms and conditions, probably, like because government grants do not expect you to return them some money, right? Because government grants, the government wants to promote entrepreneurship innovation. So basically they spend money to help people like you, innovators like you, to start building some good ideas. So that is why these government grants do not expect you to give some percentage of your profits or some percentage of your company. So you can approach your university office probably, and you can ask them if they have access to any of these government grants, and if they have access, then probably you can apply to them, and each grant will have some terms and conditions. Of course, it's not like free for everyone to like apply. So basically there will be some terms and conditions. There will be some theme specific government grants. So for example, if you are working in healthcare, if you are working on a healthcare idea, then there will be some healthcare relevant government grants that you can use. Then there will be some hardware relevant government grants that you can use. There will be some software relevant government grants that you can use. So you need to find out what sort of government grants the Malaysian government is giving, and you can try if you can apply to them. Okay, so these are some of the 4 different ways. Of course, there are like many different ways to secure funding. Probably your university will itself give you some small funding to help you start your prototype, your ideas. So of course, like that is also considered as one type of funding. Then probably you can get some money from banks, probably as a loan. But one key consideration here is, if you get money as a loan, then you need to repay it back. If you get money as an equity, then you don't need to repay it back, because you have already allocated some percentage of your company to the investor. So all the venture capitalists, the angel investors will take the equity approach. Basically, they will get some percentage of your company as a return for giving you some money. This is one type of funding model. Of course, like maybe few angel investor will also give you money as a loan, where they expect you to like repay them at a certain interest rate. Then there are banks who basically give you loan, and you can like take some money, and then you need to like repay it back. So there are like some important terms that you also need to understand if you are looking at investments. So some important terms are valuation, dilution, round size, and term sheet. So valuation is very simple, like how much your company is valued at. For example, if the investor is giving you $1 million money, and if the investor is asking you 10% of the company, then it means the investor is valuing your company as $10 million. So that is the simple mathematics behind this. So if the investor is valuing your company for $10 million, then it means like 1 million is like obviously 10%, right? So since the investor is now giving you $1 million, the investor will expect you to allocate 10% of your company's shares. So that is also the dilution. So that is how much share of your company you give it to the investor. So when you raise money, you will dilute your company. So when you raise your first round, the first funding, you give them like 10%. Then you raise the next round, then you give them some percentage. So every time you raise money, you will give some percentage of your company to the investor. Round sizes, how much money you are making, so how much money you are raising. So if you are raising $1 million, the round size is $1 million. And term sheet means basically the investor will give you like a 20-page or like 30-page document which kinds of like explains you all the terms and conditions. And this is where you need to be very, 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 very clear before you sign. Because if you are not very clear in any of the clause, any of the terms and condition, and you blindly sign it, then sometimes it can also happen that the investor will even throw you out of your company. So these are the important things that you need to understand. So there are some questions in the chat window. So let me see. So what is the percentage of share acquired by venture capital? Yes, sir. So as I just told, so it depends upon the valuation of the company and how much money the investor is investing in our company. So again, as an example, if the investor is valuing our company as $10 million, and if the investor is investing $1 million, then he will expect 10% of the company to be allocated towards it. So how the investor is valuing the company is also a different question, and that will primarily depend upon our company's traction. Basically, whether our company is having some intellectual property or not, whether our company is already having some sales, revenue, profits, and things like that. So having all of these will raise the valuation of the company. So bigger the valuation of the company, lesser the share that we allocate to the investor. So always it is kind of a dilemma. The investor will always try to undervalue your company so that he can get more percentage of your company. The entrepreneur, the owner of the company, will always try to overvalue the company because they don't want to give more percentage of the company to the investor. So this is where like negotiations will always happen. So at least like 5 to 10 rounds of like negotiation will happen. There will be a lot of legal advices that we need to receive from lawyers and things like that. So this process itself will take around like 3 months to like even 6 months to get the money to the bank account of the company. So how big is big enough to draw the attention of venture capital? Yes, so very good question. So the market size, so we saw about this market size in the Startup 101 session. So the market size needs to be at least more than $1 billion. So whatever product that we are building, it should have a market, total market, a global market of at least more than $1 billion. And then we also need to show them that we will at least start generating revenue in the order of like $200,000, $300,000, like $1 million, something like that. So it will depend upon from venture capitalist to venture capitalist. But of course, like as I told before, the venture capitalist will always see our company in the lens of, okay, what if 99 of my companies fail, will this single company be able to pull up the losses of all these 99 companies? So that is how the venture capitalists will always see. So that is why we always need to be aiming $1 billion markets, and we also need to aim $1 million revenues. So anything without the word million and billion, the venture capitalist is not interested in. Maybe the angel investor will be still interested in, but the venture capitalist, it should always be billions, millions. So if you just go and say a venture capitalist that I'm targeting a $10 million market, he will not invest in. Like it needs to be a more than like 1 billion, 2 billion, $3 billion market, and your revenue should also need to be more than like $1 million. Okay, so then these are some of the examples for the terms that we just saw: valuation, dilution, round size, and things like that. So if you see this, you can see Byju's, like which is a big company in India, like they raised $150 million and at the valuation of like $16 billion. Then Postman, another company, like became the most valued startup after $225 million funding. So this is how, like if you just go and like type in Google, if you just go and type in Google about any of the company, you can see what sort of valuations the companies are, what sort of fundings that the companies have raised, and things like that. Okay, so there are also different types of funding, and each type of funding will depend upon the progress of your startup. So the very beginning, you will start with pre-seed, seed funding. Then as you progress, as your business grows, as your startup grows, then you will raise Series A, Series B, Series C. So Series D, E, F, G, H. So there are like a lot of different terms and terminologies, but I don't want to like bombard you. So just as a beginner, you always need to focus on getting a pre-seed funding or a seed funding. And as I told you before, there are like different types of funding. One is equity and one is debt. Equity is where you allocate certain percentage of the company to the investor. Debt is you repay the money back. So there is one big difference between equity and debt. So if your company fails, you don't need to repay any money if you have a equity funding. But if you take a debt funding, even if your company fails, you need to repay the money back. So see, like there is also risk for you. This is why it is always better to go for equity funding for your business, for your startup. So don't get any loan, don't get any debt, because it is going to take a lot of time, a lot of money for you to like repay the loan back if your company fails. Okay, so how to get funding? So as I told you before, each investor will have certain criteria, but as I told you, you always need to have a good prototype. You need to even start getting some revenue. You need to start having some customers who are interested to pay for your product, and this is how you can approach the venture capitalists and investors. Okay, so we have seen like how to get funding, right? So what if an investor is calling you to their office to know more about your startup? How are you going to present your startup? So that is what investor presentation is. So in simple words, investor presentation is not a technical presentation. So for the IDP project, if you put up, okay, I'm using Arduino board, I'm using Raspberry Pi board, this is my bill of materials. Probably if you do some master's, PhD, if you put the specifications of, okay, I'm building this circuit, okay, the gain of the circuit is this, the harmonic distortion of the circuit is this, the power consumption. If you put this, the investor will just say you to go out of the office, because the investor is not interested in knowing any of the technical details of your company. The investor is interested to know whether your company has the potential to do business and whether your company has the potential to provide the investor a very good return on investment. So in simple words, the investor presentation is the resume of your startup. So if you prepare a resume, if you prepare a good resume, if you submit it to many HRs, you will get a lot of interview calls, right? So if you prepare a very bad resume, Even if you submit it to thousands and thousands of HRs, you will not get any interview calls, right? So very similar concept here. So let's see what your investor presentation should have. Probably if you can even present your IDP EDP project in this way, it will even be like very good, which will help you to like do this as an exercise. So the basically it will have only like 15 slides, like the maximum 15 to like 20 slides. You will not have like 50 slides, 100 slides and all. So investor presentation, each slide will be allocated to one particular topic of your company. So the very first slide, you will have the company name. You will then have a good graphical description of what problem your company is facing. So always the investor deck will not have much words. It needs to be very visually appealing. It needs to be graphical oriented. So problem, solution, what is the product you are building, what is the market size, who are the competitors, how are you going to defend your company from competitors, what sort of traction your company or your product has, what is your go-to-market strategy, what is your business model, how much revenue you have already obtained or how much revenue you are projecting to get in the next 5 years or like 10 years, who are all the team members, how much funding money you are looking to raise, and what is the roadmap of your company. So very simple template. So you will have like one slide for each of this. Now let's, maybe if you want, you can take a screenshot of this slide so that if you, anyone later, if you want to prepare an investor presentation, it will help you. So let's see one example. Like I just wanted to show you the investor deck of my own startup so that it will be helpful for you to really understand how it is different from a technical presentation. So let's have a look at it. Okay, so hope you are able to see my screen. So this is the investor presentation of my own startup, Sepsitron, which I was building for the past 3 years before I joined Foxconn as a product manager. So the very first slide, you can just see the logo of my company and a one-liner, which is very catchy. So if you just read this line, you will understand what my company is doing. So if I send this to the investor, just by reading this one line, the investor will clearly know what my company is doing. So that is how you need to clearly like kind of like convey your startup's meaning to the investor. So the next slide, I'm having what is the problem that my company is focusing. So you can see that it's very much pictorial, right? Even though there are words, like they are all like little bits, it is not like kind of like a paragraph or things like that. So there are certain keywords highlighted, then some pictorial representations, then the meaning of the pictorial representation. And even if you see the title, I didn't like explicitly mention it as problem, solution, product, but I am giving a statement there so that it will help the investor to like better understand. Because this is the first thing that you will send to the investor. You will not be there to present it, right? Because if you send this, the investor will then have a look at it, and if he is interested, then he will call you for a presentation. If not, he will not even call you. So whatever information you put in the investor presentation, it needs to be detailed, but also simple enough for the investor to understand. So then I have a slide on the solution. So if you see this, I have like for each of the problem, I have like one kind of like one feature. Like my solution is a single product, but then each of the feature of my product is like solving one of the problems that I mentioned before. So then this is how my product is looking like, and like this is how the product needs to be used. So you can see pictorial representation of it. And then this is the market size. So coming to the question that professor asked, how big is big? So if you can see this, the company that I was building was targeting the market size of like $20 billion, which is the total available market of the entire world. And then subdividing it into serviceable, accessible market, which is India, Southeast Asia, it is like $11 billion. And then the first target market that that we were targeting is India, which is a $3.5 billion market. So then this is how our product is different from the competitors, and this is how we also defend our product from the competitors. So the investor is really interested in understanding how you are going to defend your product. How what if someone reverse engineers your product and comes up with a new product the very next day? So you need to also have some defensive mechanisms. So you need to think about these things and also like depict them in your investor presentation. So you can see that like we have like proprietary biomarkers, like we are like protected by a lot of intellectual properties and things like that. So then how we are different from competitors, like you can see that like we present our company in a 4-quadrant format. So faster time to results, low cost. So this is where we position our product. The other products are like either the cost is very high or the time to results are like very slow. So this is how we position our product. And then this is our roadmap. So probably like we have a roadmap that we show them to also help them understand that like we are not confined with only one product, but we also like have a lot of other products that we are able to do it. And then what sort of traction we have achieved, whether we secured some sales order, purchase contracts from any customers. So you can put all of those things here. Then you can put little bit information about your the team, and then who are all the advisors for your company, and then how much money you are looking to raise. So in this case, we were looking to raise around $1 million. So you just like put that, and then you just end the slide. So by seeing this, you can understand that how this is very different from a normal technical presentation or any other presentation. So it needs to be like very much visually appealing. It needs to be graphical. It needs to be simple enough. No jargons, no technical jargons. So it needs to be easy for the investor to understand. So this is how you prepare your investor presentation, and this is how any company that is present in today's world came through to this position. So you can take like Microsoft, Apple, Samsung, Google, all these companies like have gone through these steps. Probably they prepared their investor presentation, they got some venture capital funding, and now they are all like billion dollar companies. So that's it for today's session on startup financing and investor presentation. I hope you all loved all the 6 sessions that I gave you. So hope to see some of you applying the learnings of whatever we saw in real life. Either you work in a company or either you start up. So just try to like apply these learnings so that it will be helpful for you. So any questions?
Yeah, student, any questions? I think this is very informative. No guru will tell you in one shot in a video. Very informative. I would say very informative. If you want to pay what they call a master guru for angel funding or a business planning, right? Probably you pay 20,000 for a course, right, in a market. But right now, Dr. Arjun has reviewed all the information, right, so that we know all the pictures, right? Previously, I was approached by a sort of guru in marketing. They asked for 20,000, right, for a course that we need to go. So these are the idea about venturing into the market and spin off the company and how to look for money and look for opportunity. So for those students, I don't expect everybody entrepreneur. Not everybody has the potential, or maybe you don't feel like to go for a business, but you know about what is it, right? So this is good to know, right? Rather than you are guessing or you are looking for a lesson by paying 100,000 or maybe millions before you learn something, right? But before you lose and learn some lessons, let's get information from Dr. Arjun. Anybody have any question before we end? I have a request. If you have no question, can we have group pictures all together? Today, sure. Today is the final episode, right? And let's appreciate Dr. Arjun's efforts for willing to share all the information and patiently, right? And very patient of Dr. Arjun, right? To share all the information. Or those in Malaysian culture, right? We don't ask very much, right? Most of the time we quiet. So thank you very much for being patient, right? Let's switch on the camera, please, right? Let's switch on camera. Let's take a picture, right? Guys, please switch on the camera, and let's take a few pictures and to remember the day, right? That we are all together with Dr. Arjun. Please switch on, please, right? Yeah, Bravin, I see you now, Bravin. Well, your janggut is long already. Yvonne, I see Yvonne, right? Nasrud, right? Time side, Ravindran, Ravindran is Arif Iskandar, right? Your background too bright, right? Muka tak nampak.
Ya, gelap sekejap.
Gelap, tak apa. I gurau je. No worry. Yvonne is there, right? Relaxing. Izzat ada. Raja, I see you, Raja. Okay. What else? Ajira, the rest. Any camera turning on? Let's turn on as much as possible. Uzai, right? I see you, Uzai. Right. Okay, I think that's it, right? The rest is not receiving my words, right? No worry. I seen Rachel. Rachel is there. Hi, Rachel. How are you? Hi, Rachel. Arif and Lai Junbun, right? So let me start to take a few pictures. Just a snap, right? Snap of the picture. Okay, be ready. Smile big. Okay, one picture. Let me save. Let me save. Save somewhere. I don't know where to save. Give me a minute. Let me save it. Right. Where to save? Give me a minute. Lecture series week 11. Okay. Okay, more to come. Let me take another shot. Okay. Save as 2. Any more camera? No more. I just screenshot. Right? I just screenshot. No worry. Okay. No worry. The rest I'll take it as right. There are many of you, right? Okay. Thank you very much for attending. I request you to stay back, right? Stay back on the channel. Right? I'm not recording later on, right? Let's what they call address to Dr. Arjun, right? Give applause, right, to Dr. Arjun for willing to share, right? Everybody, please, right? And please thanks Dr. Arjun, right? You may want to text it or you might want to speak it out, right? Anybody of you?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
Raja, you have any words?
Thank you so much for sharing knowledge.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. Others, what text, right? Just text. Right? Thank you very much, Dr. Arjun.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So I will expect to meet you next week, right? So we have another agenda on mentoring and supervision on next week.
Yes,
I'll see you again next week.
Yeah,
See you.
yes. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.